negotiated contract. And then we're going to have, for most of our meeting, we're going to have presentations from applicants for the American Recovery Act funding. Are there any other items that commissioners would want to discuss at this meeting? All right, then we will follow this agenda. And are there any questions about any items on the agenda for our meeting tonight? Great. All right, very good. Let's start off with our COVID update.
Good afternoon. And in the essence of time, because I do know you have a very full schedule for your briefing today, there are lots of things to cover, so I've abbreviated a little bit. Same content, but we'll just start with some metrics at this point. So we will go over the COVID-19 metrics. We will talk about recommendations based on the current metrics, vaccine updates, and our campaign for the next 30 days. And so what you're seeing here are our local metrics. And just to note that we did have our cases decrease. So from last week, which were 351, we are now seeing about 295. We did also see the percent positivity decrease for the first time in several weeks. You might remember me saying that for about 4 or 5 weeks, it was hovering in the mid-9s, and now we're seeing that fall below 9% and at 8.3%. The deaths did remain the same, so unchanged, and that's roughly about 13, 14 deaths. And the hospitalizations have remained high, but stable. They've been bobbing up and down, but for the most part, stable yet very high. Same with the percent ICU beds occupied by COVID. We did see that increase just a little, but again, very high levels, but some leveling off. So I did want to say that there's some good news there. We are seeing cases decrease. We are seeing that percent positivity decrease after several weeks of what felt like some leveling off. So that is a welcomed sign, but these levels are still far too high. You can see there that we still have lots of red and orange, particularly in those upper indicators. Our cases are still similar to what we saw in late January and early February, and our percent positivity is still not 5% or below. And so with that, because the levels are still so very high, with that sustained high transmission in our community, Public Health is recommending extending the face covering requirement for indoor public spaces until October 29th. I did want to give you some vaccine updates that by the numbers, that we have about 65% of our total population partially vaccinated, as indicated by our graphic there. That is about 169,514 people with at least one dose. That Buncombe County HHS has administered about 99,700 total doses since December of 2020. And last week, we saw about 265 first doses administered since week prior. I did want to just briefly say, without showing all the graphics that we usually do, that our 25 to 49-year-old age group has caught up with our 50 to 64-year-old age group, and both are around 66% partially vaccinated. Our 18 to 24-year-olds are still a bit of our straggler group, with about 56% partially vaccinated. And we continue to see a slow, steady increase in our 12 to 17-year-olds, who are now at around 51% partially vaccinated. I did just want to reiterate that we continue to provide services at our 40 Cox location, which is where the health department is located, and our outreach events. And so I did want to go over some recent developments because it has been a busy couple of weeks since I saw you last. That we did see the FDA recommend Pfizer booster for particular populations, and that is 65 years and older, at high risk for severe COVID-19, and at high risk of occupational exposure. Just a reminder for folks that that's just step one, that we still have a couple of other steps that have to go. So the FDA has recommended. We anticipate the CDC and ACIP to be meeting tomorrow, September 22nd, and are anticipating that we will have some recommendations that come out of that. If that is true, then we would be waiting for any additional guidance and provider guidance that would come down from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and then be looking at starting boosters if they are recommended and approved by all parties to begin those next week. We also had in the last couple weeks the federal vaccine requirement that came through. The federal administration did announce a vaccine requirement for federal employees, healthcare settings that participate in Medicare and Medicaid, and businesses with 100 or more employees. It does appear that the federal employee compliance is by November 22nd. More guidance and information forthcoming for businesses that the reports were showing roughly about 2 months after that announcement that we could see that potentially go in. But I did want to say that all of those things are impacting our current vaccine operations. And so with that, that we have the anticipated federal vaccine requirement coming, I thought it was really important to tell you all, okay, so there are lots of folks who are covered in that. Let's talk about folks we've already reached, and then talk about how we reach maybe some folks who may not be totally included in that and maybe haven't quite come to us for other reasons. And so I did want to mention just some of the things that we've done already, including our mass vaccination efforts for the general population. You all remember that. We were at AB Tech for many months. We do still have our fixed site operations at the health department for the general population. And as I mentioned, about 99,700 total doses administered, with about 3,000 of those in outreach settings and roughly 2,500 of those in equity outreach settings. We do also have our mobile efforts to the long-term care facilities, our at-home mobile efforts to the homebound. We have done 4 specific events for our homeless population, 2 specific events for our migrant farm workers, and we have over a dozen of events that were for work sites. And for our school-aged children, we had summer partnerships with many of our schools in the area to reach eligible children and their families, and that resulted in 13 school events with administering over 360 total doses with those. So with things that have been happening in the last couple weeks, how do we reach the others that may have been waiting to vaccinate? So between the efforts that we've already made and continue to make, plus the anticipated impact of the federal requirement on businesses, I wanted to share with you all what our team has been putting together and kicking off actually today. So I'll talk about that in just a second. That our plan will hopefully reach those that may not have been included in what we've already done, maybe haven't been or won't be included in the federal requirement, but may still be open to vaccination. So We're affectionately calling this right now Operation All In, and welcome better names if you have one. But efforts here are to increase vaccination rates that will include events, partnerships, and campaign tactics, including additional vaccination events throughout the county, local vaccination incentives, and partnership with trusted community organizations to provide access to vaccination throughout the county. I did want to highlight working with a local marketing agency to coordinate a very integrated ad campaign featuring local residents encouraging vaccination. And these are many of what I would call non-traditional public health and vaccine champions. When I think about your public health director, that's a very traditional champion of vaccine. But these are folks who are living in our communities. They are respected folks in our school systems and in our other community settings. The campaign will interface with the regional My Reason WNC for a lot of reasons, but for one in particular is that as we concentrate on this 30-day push in our own county, we know how very important it is to make sure that there are that same messaging and that same campaign throughout the region, as many folks may work in our county but live somewhere else and vice versa. So really leveraging and utilizing that partnership in the region. And just to reiterate, again, engaging schools, vaccine providers, and community members. And I just wanted to highlight some of the great work that our team has been doing, particularly our comms director, Stacy Wood, around developing a PSA that will feature a local champion from Irwin High School who oversees our junior ROTC program. So more to come on that. And then just lastly, parts of that campaign as well, that we want to learn from our youth community in particular of ways to educate, inform, and motivate their families to learn more about the safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine. So looking to get that qualitative data that will help inform how to better engage families and communities. We continue to have our vaccine efforts that engage local vaccine providers in a coordinated way. We continue to meet weekly to talk about where are the access points that are needed for vaccine and who can do that, whether it's Buncombe County HHS or whether it's one of our FQHCs or even a state vendor or even FEMA when they come back into the area. So better use of that collaborative support. And then I did want to mention that we do plan to extend those mobile outreach events, particularly the kickoff today being at Ferguson Family YMCA, tomorrow at Inca Middle School, and on the horizon, a focus to the North Buncombe area as well to provide some additional access to vaccine for folks who may not be opposed to vaccine, but just haven't done it yet. And then just of note, it doesn't have to do with vaccine, but it is very important. I did want to say that we are going to be seeing expanded testing opportunities within our county as well as the DHHS state vendor StarMed, who we have been partnering with for testing, is going to begin offering their services Monday through Friday, beginning next week at Harrah's Event Center. And that particular vendor, this will be a somewhat temporary spot for a few weeks, and they are very interested in having a much more permanent and fixed site to be able to provide that testing and vaccine opportunity much more regularly. And if the space is available and can work for them, they may be able to do their complete operation, which could include the monoclonal antibody treatment, so access to that as well, as they look for good space for that. And as I wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that you can visit myspot.nc.gov to find a vaccine provider near you. If you are listening to us and another vaccine provider is closer to you, then we want you to go where it is easy and convenient for you to get your vaccine. And if you're out our way near the health department, we will gladly vaccinate you as well. And that's it for today, for me.
Thank you, Stacy.
I got a couple of questions. The first, you showed us a slide with the 65% of Buncombe County slide. I think you said 265 first doses were given last week. You've talked about this before. Is that just through Buncombe County vaccination providers and
Yes.
not?
That's just us
Schools
at Buncombe County HHS.
Okay.
First doses last week.
And even if we could, like, we have no way to calculate the total of all private, public providers on vaccinations per week.
I don't get a weekly report on that. I'm sure if I looked at day-to-day changes or week-to-week changes from the dashboard, we might be able to sort of estimate that, but I don't get a weekly report or daily report that specifically says how many doses have been given out by all providers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as you might imagine, if the data was available and accurate, seeing some sort of, line graph over time that showed week to week our first doses going up or down would be super helpful to us, I think, but I imagine that's maybe not possible, but just a thought.
I don't have it for all Buncombe County providers. What I can tell you is for the second week, we did see a slight decline in first doses. So we had hit a high a few weeks ago and then started to see that come back down into 265 last week, the week before 217. So starting to see that wane.
Probably follows the state line graph, I imagine. Yeah.
It likely does.
Yeah, okay. And then you mentioned in regards to the Department of Labor requirements coming out, you said 2 months for something. We're waiting 2 months for something. What was that?
And so when the
Right.
announcement was made by the federal administration, there were reports that indicated that OSHA would be coming back within the either 65 or 75 days
Okay.
with those with that guidance.
The fine print.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, okay. And then last question, for StarMed testing starting the 27th, for folks listening that want to make an appointment for getting a COVID test, what would they do?
Thanks for that question. So I will tell you that was confirmed today. So I am not sure if you looked at the testing site, the Find My Testing Place website, you would see it today. So give it a few days or a couple of days. And then what folks can do is go through either the StarMed website themselves to register if they'd like to, or they can go to the North Carolina DHHS Find My Testing Location website and put in Asheville, and it will come up as an available opportunity for testing. And I apologize if I didn't mention it. Those hours will be Monday through Friday, 10 to 2.
Thank you.
Just a quick question on what we're seeing in terms of children's cases and the trend lines there.
Yeah, so not much change since the last time I saw you. That you might remember a few weeks ago, we did see that increase from about, we were seeing an average of like 14%, and we saw that jump up to about 20%, and then it went just a little bit higher, and it's staying right there in that mid 20%. I believe, I wrote it down thinking that you might ask, that it is about 26% of all new cases were less than 17 years old. And that's about the same as it has been. And I did want to follow up that Commissioner Whitesides had asked about private schools last time and their masking policies. And so we did a very simple survey of private schools. And of the 31 private schools, we had 24 who responded. And about 84% of those schools are requiring universal masking.
All right, great. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it. All right, the next item on the agenda is the landfill to gas project. And Dane Peterson and Christy Smith are going to help us with this item.
Hello. I'm Christy Smith with the Buncombe County Solid Waste Management Facility, or the landfill, and I'm here to talk about the landfill gas to energy update. So hopefully, there it is. All right. And just a quick reminder of what we're talking about. When garbage decomposes, it makes landfill gas, which is 50% methane and 50% a bunch of other stuff. The methane component is the part that we destroy in the generator when we make electricity, which is a powerful greenhouse gas. So we actively collect the landfill gas out of the landfill, direct it to our generator, combust it, get it on Duke Energy's power lines, and ultimately it goes to our community's homes. About 1,100 homes right now are benefiting from our project. And then just some background. Right now we're working under a 10-year agreement with Duke under a PP4. That's our current PPA agreement with Duke. We've had some pretty good pricing historically with Duke. Moving forward, we are not going to see pretty good pricing from Duke. In fact, it is going to be about half of what we saw historically. The capacity pricing is essentially gone, so that's unfortunate for us. But what we hope to do here today is I have a notice of commitment letter from Duke. They require signature of that letter to continue talking to us about pricing and PPAs and a contract moving forward. So that's why I'm here today, is to talk about that and hope to get a notice of commitment signature to take to Duke so we can keep negotiating future prices. And then once they get that letter, they say it's 30 days before we can get a draft contract or PPA agreement. So that's kind of the timeline we're working under. And then we have a goal of hopefully executing a new PPA with Duke November of this year, as our current contract will sunset November of this year. We kind of want to just keep it going and get that electricity on the grid without missing any downtime. My thing died. How do I go forward? Oh, cool. Yeah, this is, okay. There we go. All right, so price comparison, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. The existing PPA is on the left. The pricing we're enjoying now, and then the future pricing is on the right. I showed you the variable rate. I anticipate coming to you with a contract from Duke that will not be a 10-year contract. We're hoping for a 3-year contract. Right now, 5 or 10 years kind of their standard, but we're hoping to go for a 3-year contract that gets us through our service contract with our generator is really what's driving that timeline there. And we're going to the next slide. I promise, Max, I didn't touch any of the wrong buttons.
It's going to be much worse if we have to turn the generator off.
Just keep talking. Yeah. Help.
Here we go.
Okay. Okay, so as I alluded to, the PP5 pricing that Duke has offered as our option moving forward is significantly less than historic. So since the last time we saw you, we ran some new revenue and expense assumptions. I wanted to just briefly go over those with you. Our revenue assumptions are based on our engine capacity. So we have a 1,300 kilowatt engine. If we assume 10% downtime, the revenues associated are tied to that. So we're assuming 3 cents per kilowatt hour. That's basically an average of all those prices you just saw on that sheet before. And then the renewable energy credits, or RECs, we're assuming at $4 per megawatt hour. That's a standard going rate for North Carolina renewable energy projects right now. We hope to get more. We hope to get $15 per megawatt hour, but the market kind of drives that. The energy sales with Duke will be fixed. The RECs have a potential to go up or down. And then we have the carbon credits assumed at $124,000 a year. And the expense assumptions, we went back and looked at the last 10 years, or since FY13, on our generator, operational, and 100% staff time. Made those as our assumptions with a standard 2% inflation. We have a $75,000 per year loan obligation that doesn't go away till 2031. So those are our assumed expenses moving forward. And then I will show you what that looks like. So back in February, Dane presented this graph on the left to you. That was our initial discussions with Duke when it looked like we were going to get 2 cents per kilowatt hour. We've since, on the right, this is where we are now. We've kind of closed that gap between the expenses and revenues, which is great news. We've been able to find some better pricing with Duke, some better REC pricing, and some carbon credits. So this is a fairly conservative model. You know, we've really assumed the worst in expenses and the worst in revenues. We hope to close that gap even more by getting more money per RECs and carbon credits. But as you see moving forward, you know, for instance, FY22, there's a difference of about almost $66,000 a year, expenses over revenues. And that's 100% staff time, just so you all are aware. Our staff person probably spends about 50% of his time operating the landfill gas to energy project, and then we have him do other things as well. All right, it went this time. And then if the generator were to retire, that's the beneficial use of the landfill gas, right? If we do something else besides put electricity on the grid, we intend to still have our gas collection system where we will pull the gas out of the landfill, flare it, or direct it to some other beneficial use. But we will always have that gas collection system pulling that gas out of the garbage to reduce odors, and it reduces greenhouse gases. So either way, we intend to keep that system in place, and then whatever the future for landfill gas is in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we will have the wells in place that we can direct that gas. And then again, this is just the additional revenues from RECs and energy will help offset the expense of the generator. So the dollar figures are lined out here again with the assumptions I just reviewed in the previous slide. And ultimately, we hope to get more than $4 a megawatt. That will really help close that gap. And again, the carbon credits, we hope to sell for more and make more revenue to almost, we're hoping to just break even is obviously the hope. And so next steps, we are hoping to sign the letter of commitment letter with you today, and then that should jumpstart Duke into negotiating a new PPA with us. They will firm up pricing. The PP5 pricing is the best guess that they can give me now. We don't know yet a term for the contract. They have a 5-year term contract option, a 10-year term. We're hoping for a 3-year. They have not, really they don't tell us much until this letter of commitment letter. So we'll know more as that goes. And then again, hope to bring back a contract for you all to review in October, and then sign a new PPA in November. And that's everything I got. Any questions?
If we if we discontinued the operation of the generator, what would be the so the cost to just kind of run the system as it's being run today is $430,000 plus the debt service on the loan, $75,000. But so if we just said, hey, we're not going to, this doesn't look as good as it did in the past, let's just kind of discontinue this. But what would it cost for that scenario where we're not running the generator, but you're doing the other management activities at the landfill to manage the situation?
Oh, the expense goes way down. The bulk of your expense is the generator. That's about $240,000 a year on average to just run that thing. So in my mind, I've been just trying to figure out, can our recs and our energy sales cover the cost of that generator? That's the ultimate goal. But the operational expenses of just flaring is minimal compared to running a generator.
Okay, I'm sorry, say that again. How much, so compared to 430 for running the generator, selling the electricity, all that, that's 430.
Mhm.
If we didn't do that, it's what number?
Just the generator on its own typically is about $240,000 a year. That's an average of that same time period.
Is that the loan payment?
The loan payment is different. That's a $75,000 a year loan, and we're obligated to
We
that.
got to pay
through
that regardless of whether
2031,
we run
no
it
matter
or
what
not.
we do. Yep.
Okay, so it would be 430. If we wanted to compare the two options, you'd take 240 out of the 430, and that's kind of the other alternative.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So about 190, if I did that right, which I,
Correct, yeah, and
Okay,
again,
good,
that's 100% staff time, so if you wanted to take half of that out too, you could technically take half of $100,000 staff and
Okay.
look at it that way too.
okay, but it's not like it's free. There's still this
No.
cost, so, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. My only feedback would be, I think if we can get a shorter contract, that's good. You know, this was kind of a no-brainer in the past, but with the electricity values going down so much, it's, you know, it's not as, it seems like that's the right thing to do. Because if we just turned it off with the 190 we still have to pay, we would actually be more underwater
Yeah.
financially than, it looks like the financially right decision is to continue running the generator. It's still going to lose some money, but we'll lose more money. Because at least now we have the electricity revenue coming in to help offset part of it. So, but because it's not clear, I think we wouldn't want to commit further out into the future if we
Right.
can avoid that, just so we can continue to monitor it. I've also heard there might be some expensive parts that need to be replaced in the future. So if we needed to make those kind of decisions, it seems like they would need to be weighed carefully in light of the fact that this is kind of on the fence a little bit.
Yes, sir, you said it perfect. In FY '24, we'll have a major maintenance on that generator, so that's a kind of a make or break moment for the project. I anticipate, you know, maybe technologies will get better in the next 5-10 years and we can do something different. We're just not there yet. Our landfill is not big enough to get the big projects yet. We just don't have the gas. So for us right now, it's really the most feasible project. And to speak to you, your previous question about if we were to just flare the gas instead of a beneficial use, we can still get carbon credits. So you can offset that expense with carbon credits in the flaring scenario. So it's not too bad of an annual loss, but
Okay, but if we can stick with the 3 years, then we anticipate that we could then renegotiate the PPA or discontinue it before we have to incur that big capital cost for the equipment. So by whatever decision we make here, if it goes according to the approach you're looking at, because once we sign the PPA, we're kind of obligated to run it for that period of time, right? So we need to be careful to try to stay within the existing useful life of the major equipment.
yes, that's the
Possible, right?
ultimate goal.
Okay, all right.
Duke seems open to allowing us to look at a 3-year contract, even though it's not typical. Was the last conversation I had, so.
Can I clarify one thing?
Yep.
Christy, I thought you were saying in 2024, we have to do the major upgrade to the generator,
Correct.
which is 2 years.
FY '24, it's somewhere in that year. I think it's going to be March.
Okay. I just want to make sure the timing of the contract and that major overhaul is aligned.
Correct, yes.
Do you know, but do we have to sign a multi-year contract? Couldn't we just do an annual contract with them too?
They acted like they didn't have that. When we came to you in February, that option was on the table. A lot has changed in a rapid time with Duke, unfortunately.
See, but this isn't really a negotiated process, right? I mean, we're an independent power producer, and I think they have to give us the same rates as any other independent power producer operating anywhere within their service territory. So I just wonder if, I think they have to give you an annual, like, they have to buy the power from us, and if we didn't sign a multi-year contract, I think it defaults to like a 1-year rate. So anyway, but let's sign the paperwork to continue negotiating this or just exploring it, and then you'll bring it back for a final decision, right? Okay.
Yes, sir. I will bring that all back
Okay.
to you for a final review. And you are correct. I think in February, they alluded to an option of an annual agreement. They've since moved away from that, but that 2 cents per kilowatt hour was that annual sales revenue, which was not,
Okay, so it gets better if you go out a little bit longer.
yes, a
Okay.
10 years, a little bit better pricing than this variable rate that I showed you,
Right.
but
Well,
we're not,
okay.
we're not interested in a 10
As you bring the final recommendations in, I would want to understand the differences. And if we are potentially obligating ourselves to a period of time where we might have to make big capital investments, I would definitely want to understand that fully. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, we don't need to vote on this right now. This is just for discussion, correct? Or do we need to authorize the,
The commitment letter.
Okay.
If you want us to continue negotiating, we need to send a commitment letter to Duke.
but it's, commitment letter sounds like a commitment, but it's actually not a commitment, right? It's
Right.
basically an
Because we're not
indication of our
signing the
intention.
Sort of like a good faith, we're going to do it, so
Okay,
keep
but if
talking.
we don't get on the same page, we're not obligated to sign a contract, right?
Right, that
Okay.
is correct.
Okay, well, we don't normally vote in these meetings, but do we need to put this on the consent agenda to just approve that tonight then?
We can, or we were looking to see if you want us to continue, we'll continue with, we just want to give you an awareness tonight. And if you had really heartburn, then we will put it on the agenda to give a final decision. Either way it works. We can put it to get y'all to set us to move forward as a formal vote, but that's not a vote of the contract. We'll bring the contract back later.
Okay. Well, I want us to continue the discussions.
So this
And
is an
then-
awareness for you guys to know that staff is working on this.
Okay, so you don't need us to vote
I
then?
don't need a vote.
You can, okay, all right, sounds good. Any questions or concerns from commissioners? That's all right. Very good. Thank you so much, Christy. Thank you, Dane. All right. Next up is Rachel Nygaard, I believe. We're going to talk about the National Recovery Act proposals that are before us, and this will be what we spend the balance of our meeting on today, hearing from folks who have put forward proposals for us. And while we're waiting,
Sarah is here in case you want her to kick off anything, but Matt's going to go ahead and set up the Zoom and we can start going through listening to others.
that sounds good. And how long do we have for each presentation?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. So, and if people have questions,
They
I
can,
think we should just send them to the manager.
or to,
We don't really have time to discuss today, so write your questions down, and then we'll send them to the staff for follow-up.
Yes, sir.
Rather than get into a discussion today.
thanks. And I know, and
Okay,
Sarah's-
Lillian is going to run that from the other room, so I'll just start the Zoom meeting now.
And do I need to keep track of time, or how's that going to work?
There is a timer on the screen.
Okay, perfect, great, great. I really am, I can relax. Your time's up. Shh, cut 'em off.
Our first speaker will be from a therapist like me. Please unmute yourself and turn on your camera. Okay, we've got, hold on one second. We've got Dr. Norneal Armstrong, who we will be. Hold on one moment. We've got a little difficulty. Here we go. All right, Dr. Armstrong, you should be able to unmute yourself and turn on your camera.
Yes, I am now able to do so. Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you for taking time today. My name is Dr. Norneal Armstrong. I'm part of A Therapist Like Me, the Executive Director and CEO. And A Therapist Like Me would use the recovery funds to enhance behavioral and mental awareness, access, and services by engaging marginalized, minoritized, and BIPOC individuals for the community members and in a variety of ways. A Therapist Like Me has developed Working on Wellness, which is a 4-year, 3-pronged initiative to go out into the community, provide opportunities for members to meet and greet health and mental health professionals of color, learn more about COVID-19, the vaccine, keeping safe, and other health issues that plague Black and Brown communities. The health awareness and education prong of our Working on Wellness will work to bring doctors such as Kazmika Corbett, who played a major role in the development of the production of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, the Surgeon General of California, who linked adverse childhood experiences and toxic stress to later harmful effects in life, and other Black and Brown doctors in the Asheville area who can explain, support, and help community members learn about their daily health and show how to access the resources available to them. Our second prong is the mental health community outreach program, and it will include purchasing a bus that we will transform into a counseling office and travel around the community to businesses, schools, neighborhoods, and community centers, talking about wellness, wholeness, therapy, counseling, and even encouraging more teenagers and adolescents to major in psychology and counseling so they can become therapists for their own community as well. So with your support and funding, a therapist like me will be able to launch and nurture this program, our Wellness on Wheels, over a period of time and accomplish 2 of our 3-pronged initiatives to enhance mental health and behavioral health for BIPOC, marginalized, and minoritized people in Asheville. And we appreciate your consideration and hope that you will choose us to support. Thank you.
Our next speaker is All Souls Counseling Center. All Souls Counseling, please turn on your camera and unmute yourself. All right, I believe that's Leslie Mccrory. Leslie, can you turn on your camera and unmute yourself? Okay, we'll return to All Souls Counseling. Do we have Appalachian Mountain Community Health Center?
Yes, hello.
Okay, please begin.
Sure, I'm Chantel Simpson, the Chief Executive Officer for Appalachian Mountain Community Health Center. Thank you for allowing us time to present to you today. We are a federally qualified community health center that is located in, we have 6 locations, 3 locations in Buncombe County and 3 that is spread across North Carolina in Graham, Clay, and Jackson and Cherokee counties. What we are proposing is funds to help us to enhance access and prevent the spread of COVID through focusing on patients with comorbidities, non-insured, low-insured, and low-income patients. What we currently offer at our FQHCs, we have about 20 providers, medical doctors, physician assistants, and nurse practitioners, where we provide primary care and mental health services. We've been able to offer these services in Buncombe County, and we do receive a grant from HRSA, being that we are a federally qualified community health center. But we are in need of additional funds to build a new infrastructure to be able to house staffing. So while we have adequate staffing to provide these wonderful services to Buncombe County patients, we have ran out of room in our local site that we have here on Ashland Avenue. So we are looking for support. And also we have a small clinic called Maze, which is located in Western Carolina Rescue Ministries. We are looking for support to open and operate Monday through Friday in those offices and provide medical, primary care, and COVID services to our patients. We do offer the COVID vaccine, we offer the COVID test, we do education, and we do community outreach with our peer support and our providers, as well as home visits. And so we are just looking for our support to be able to enhance our access to care from Buncombe County residents. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Do we have All Souls Counseling? Are you able to unmute yourself and turn on your camera now?
I can unmute myself, but I don't know where the camera is.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Leslie Mccrory, the Executive Director of All Souls Counseling Center. We provide affordable, individual, family, and couples therapy to those who are without insurance, and for those who also have high insurance copays or deductibles. We're a 21-year-old nonprofit, which is not affiliated with the Cathedral of All Souls, although the center had its origins at the Cathedral. We are also not affiliated with All Souls Pizza. Our mission is to provide quality, affordable mental health counseling to the people of Western North Carolina on a sliding fee scale. As you are aware, it's been widely reported that the ongoing pandemic has exacerbated many of the mental health issues in our region, which will have a long-term effect on our community. And our vision is to provide compassionate care to people in our center so that they may more fully participate in their community in healthy and productive ways. Our request includes HEPA air filtration units and the supply of replacement filters to better protect our clients and our therapists during their hour-long sessions in each of our rooms of our comfortable 1905 home. The other part of our request is to increase the pay of our therapists. We would like to be more competitive in our per hour pay for our therapists. It is our hope that more competitive rate will help us recruit and retain therapists to our team, thus enabling us to better serve the mental health needs of Buncombe County over the long term and especially the next 6 years. Thank you for your consideration of our project.
Our next speaker will be from Appalachian Mountain Community Health Centers, the Appalachian Sustainable Agriculture Project's Farm Fresh for Health Double Snap Initiative. Can you unmute yourself and turn on your camera? Okay, we will come back to that one. The next speaker will be Asheville Area Arts Council.
Can you see me?
We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
I could see you actually for a moment,
Okay, perfect.
but now I don't.
Can you see me now?
Now I do not.
Okay, well, at least you can hear
Now
me.
we do. Now
Oh,
we do. Yep.
Now I
Go
see.
ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. According to the Chamber, over 1,300 jobs were lost in the arts and entertainment industry last year, the greatest percentage of job loss from any industry in Buncombe County. We had some glimmer of hope when event venues were able to reopen in May after 14 months of closure, and now we find ourselves canceling events again. Arts businesses are on the front lines, enforcing mask mandates, vaccine checks, and COVID testing, desperately trying to hang on. They need you. They're doing their part for the health and safety of this community, and they need this community support to survive. The Arts Council is requesting aid to regrant to smaller nonprofits and gig workers that are falling through the cracks. Only 28 arts businesses in Buncombe County received shuttered venue operators grants. Only 26 arts businesses and 16 arts professionals received one Buncombe funding. For perspective, 410 arts businesses in Buncombe County received PPP loans. It may feel like there's a lot of aid, but there's not, and it's not reaching the creative sector like it needs to be. Creative workers are essential workers. They've been vital to the health and well-being of this community throughout the pandemic, and they're needed now more than ever. The recovery of the local economy also depends on these businesses. Buncombe County's 74 creative industries were responsible for over 14,000 jobs and $1.6 billion in industry sales in 2019. The American Rescue Plan dollars are intended to provide aid to those severely impacted by the pandemic, and the arts and entertainment industry has been decimated. As I said before, this industry has experienced the highest percentage of job losses in Buncombe County, and these businesses continue to be severely impacted. As a designated arts agency for Buncombe County, I urge you to preserve these jobs and businesses by supporting the Arts Council's request.
Our next speaker is, we will return to Appalachian Mountain Community Health Centers, Appalachian Sustainable Agriculture Project's Farm Fresh for Health Double Snap. Are you able to unmute yourself?
This is Nora with ASAP. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Hi, I'm here on behalf of ASAP, and we're requesting funding for our Double SNAP program. The program matches SNAP benefits dollar for dollar at farmers markets. Customers get twice the amount of fresh local food for their SNAP dollar, and that money goes directly to local farmers. ASAP started the first farmers market to accept SNAP benefits more than 10 years ago and have been working with markets to expand fresh food access. We are currently doubling SNAP dollars at 5 Buncombe markets, and the project will expand and improve the sustainability of the program. Our project addresses the economic harm experienced by low-income households during the pandemic, addressing high rates of food insecurity, and it addresses the harm experienced by Buncombe County farmers and small businesses who are still recovering from the pandemic. In 2020, with the onset of the pandemic, SNAP sales at markets tripled. Sales this year are projected to double that number again. In July alone, participating Buncombe markets matched $27,000 in SNAP, which represents $54,000 total in food for families and sales for local farms. We project this program to double more than $200,000 across 5 markets this year. Every market manager surveyed reported that the program has increased their market's customer base. Funding will support the 5 markets currently doubling SNAP dollars and expand the program to 2 additional markets, River Arts District and Weaverville. It will enable participation of Buncombe County farm stands, and we are currently piloting the program with the Southside Community Gardens farm stand. It'll support outreach as well as activities that make markets welcoming and engaging spaces, support assistance to address challenges families have accessing markets, such as transportation limitations and language barriers. Overall, Double SNAP provides hundreds of thousands of dollars of income directly to farmers and helps Buncombe County families stretch their food budgets. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is from Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce, the Community Connector Pilot Program.
My name is Kit Kramer, president of the Asheville Chamber. COVID-19 shutdowns combined with the police department's reduction in services have left residents, business owners, employees, and customers shaken. The proposed Community Connector program would support the call to reimagine public safety while contributing to the social and economic stability needed by businesses and neighborhoods. An advisory group of businesses and strategic partners would review similar programs in other cities and develop priorities and job descriptions for the Community Connector street teams. Strategic partners, public, private, nonprofit, and business organizations would collaborate to support the success of the program. The project would consolidate existing services and referral processes through the Community Connector teams who encounter people in need or situations that need to be addressed. The program could provide a safer, cleaner environment through proactive engagement. Addressing concerns early through frequent touch points and intervention could help connect individuals to services and address situations that need the attention of Public Works. The cost of the Community Connectors program would be shared with matching dollars from the City of Asheville and a request to the Tourism Development Authority. This 3-year pilot project aligns with the county's priorities. It directly supports equitable outcomes for those businesses and individuals who've been most impacted by the pandemic. And the combined funding leverages this one-time infusion of dollars at a moment when we need it most. You can learn more about the Community Connectors proposal at ashevillechamber.org/communityconnectors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity, Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce, Community Betterment Foundation for Accelerate Buncombe.
Hi, I'm April Brown, and I'm with the Economic Development Coalition for Asheville, Buncombe County. Buncombe County's 2025 strategic plan states goals for a more vibrant and inclusive economy, including to improve college and career readiness, increase median household income, and increase total employment in the region's targeted industries. These goals are also reflected in our own strategic economic development plan. Today, at least 35% of Buncombe County's workforce are underemployed or working full-time for less than living wage. Based on the 2019 US Census Bureau data, the annual median income of residents between the ages of 15 to 24 is $34,000, and the unemployment rate of this age group is 14%. Even worse, residents with a high school diploma or less have an average median income of $23,000. While manufacturing wages are on average above living wage and above the state's median household income benchmark, manufacturing employers still need to fill about 1,500 jobs in Buncombe County alone for currently open unfilled positions. Accelerate Buncombe is a talent recruitment and workforce readiness program hosted by the EDC in collaboration with AB Tech, inclusive hiring employer partners, local BIPOC service providers, and several community organizations. We will recruit unemployed and underemployed individuals into a paid training program where students earn $15 an hour during the 8-week training, which allows them to quit their current job to learn new skills. Upon graduation, candidates will receive job offers that will put them on track for upward mobility. Their curriculum includes leadership development, certified production technician, and career readiness certificate. With your support, we can change the lives of residents in our community who need it most. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is from Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity Infrastructure to support affordable homeownership development in Buncombe County.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Barnett, Director of Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you about our plans. You know, the importance of healthy and stable home has never been clearer. Over the last year, home's been our workplace. It's where we teach our children. It's our haven in a global pandemic. Those who lack healthy and stable home feel this crisis acutely. Recent studies link poor housing with increased rates of COVID and COVID-related deaths. Commissioners, to make Buncombe County more resilient to public health threats, more people need healthy, stable housing. The American Recovery Plan funds are a historic opportunity to invest in housing. Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity's proposal is a great way to make that investment. With your support, we can expedite 2 shovel-ready neighborhoods that become home to 89 low-paid and fixed-income neighbors. These neighborhoods add density on land surrounded by development but lacking connection to infrastructure. They include types of housing missing from the market and in demand from buyers. That might be a low-maintenance townhome for a busy single parent, a larger home for a multi-generational family, or a home designed to age in place. These smart growth, missing middle, green-built neighborhoods are affordable to low and very low-income frontline workers because of Habitat's innovative mortgage model, creating a path to homeownership for voucher holders, people of color, female-headed households, older adults, and people with disabilities, those left out of homeownership and among the most vulnerable to public health threats. The ARPA is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make our community healthier and more resilient, and to address the highest priority issue in our county, the high cost of housing. I urge you to invest these funds now for the health of our community.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Asheville Art Museum, enabling hybrid programming capabilities.
Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Rawson, and I'm the Director of Finance and Operations at the Asheville Art Museum. The Asheville Art Museum produces hundreds of educational programs, lectures, films, workshops, professional trainings, and more each year. As we make our way through the COVID-19 pandemic, the need to run these programs in a hybrid of in-person and live virtual formats is becoming increasingly important. The museum requests funding to equip the museum's educational studio and multi-purpose space with the video and audio technology to support these hybrid programs. Museum staff has become adept at delivering virtual programming, and we seek the ability to offer unified on-site and live virtual programs to best serve our diverse audience and increase our cultural reach. Once these spaces are equipped with the proper technology, museum staff will host a variety of programming and trainings, benefiting both the general population as well as providing targeted opportunities for Buncombe County students and educators. Uses will include teacher professional development workshops, virtual visits for K through 12 classrooms, meetings, trainings, and adult programs, including film screenings and lecture series. These will host in-depth discussions with artists and other experts. We ask the Buncombe County Commissioners to support this project of the Asheville Art Museum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Asheville Buncombe Community Christian Ministry for the Transformation Village Phase 2. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I just did. Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Jim Brewer with the Asheville Buncombe Community Christian Ministry. Thank you for this opportunity to address the commission. ABCCM purchased 24 acres of undeveloped land for Transformation Village, a multi-phase project that will ultimately provide on-site support for every need, including healthcare, nutrition, life skills, employment training, and more for approximately 350 residents. Our mission is to provide stability to homeless women and children. We provide this through personal skill training, education, and training to equip adults for employment and sustainable housing. The following have been found to be the principal reasons that people come to Transformation Village. 1, poverty. 2, domestic violence. 3, unemployment. 4, low-paying jobs. And 5, lack of affordable housing. ABCCM doubled its capacity for women and children with completion of the Phase 1 of our Transformation Village, which provides 90 beds for transitional housing. Each year, we project that we will be able to help up to 240 women and children find sustainable housing. Currently, we have a waiting list of 70 single women and 50 moms with 73 children. Although we have doubled our capacity in Phase 1, we still cannot meet the needs of women and children in our community. In the 2021 school year, 544 children enrolled in our school systems were identified as homeless or unstably housed by the city and school systems. This does not count preschool siblings. A point-in-time survey of homelessness, while it shows a decrease in all categories, one category increase, and that was families. And most of these homeless families are led by women. The intersection of domestic violence, homelessness, and housing insecurity is undeniable, as lack of a safe, affordable housing is often reported.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time is up. Our next speaker is from Asheville Buncombe County Land Trust, the Permanently Affordable Homes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for this opportunity to speak on our proposal. My name is Anna Ziewska, and I'm the Executive Director of the Asheville Buncombe Community Land Trust, or ABCLT for short. As you may know, ABCLT is the first and only community land trust in Western North Carolina, and we are eager to create as many permanently affordable housing opportunities as possible. While we have made great strides acquiring properties utilizing the City of Asheville bond funds, those funds can only be used for home ownership units within the city limits themselves. Given our current housing market, we know the need is much greater than that. Supply of affordable home ownership units in the county is low, and the need for rental units is greater than ever. Homeowners are being faced with increasing property taxes, and many renters are being displaced because their landlords decide to sell. Community land trust units provide a response to both of these challenges. Our homeowners pay only taxes on the purchase price of the home versus paying property taxes on the assessed value of the home and the land. Both our homeowners and renters can rest assured that their mortgage or rent payments will remain affordable to them for as long as they live there. COVID-19 has significantly impacted our housing market, and ABCLT's proposal would create 18 housing units that would remain affordable in perpetuity despite future market shifts. Most importantly, our work is focused on creating opportunities for people of color and ensuring that our communities are equitable and diverse well into the future. Ultimately, we hope that our model of collective ownership transforms the way we think about real estate. We encourage you to consider the impact affordability will have on our community. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Asheville Buncombe Institute of Parity Achievement Life Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joanna Greer-McEachin, and I'm the Executive Director of ABIPA. The Life Center will intentionally and innovatively address health disparities and public outcomes. ABIPA's request for funding for the program implementation and purchase of a space to operate out. Life Center will be a collaboration between ABIPA and NC Brookhaven Behavioral Health to promote supportive services to individuals through utilizing a space that celebrates and cultivates resilience, restoration, and renaissance. We will focus on growing the community health worker, peer support specialist, and community-based researcher workforces, in addition to supporting individuals that are unemployed, underemployed, and provide a state-of-the-art space for new or young small businesses and nonprofits emerging as a result of the impact of COVID-19. Life Center will be modeled after the dream of our late founder, Dr. Charles Blair, to replicate the Jackson Medical Mall in Jackson, Mississippi, which was transformed from an abandoned shopping mall to a modern medical and retail facility. The mission was to provide health care for underserved and promote economic and community development. 20 years later, the Jackson Medical Mall sits proudly in the center of the city's state capital, providing high quality health and community services. Just as the organizations we address health holistically by thinking of physical, mental, financial, and social health, so will this project. And so to be able to improve the design and execution of health and public health, small businesses, nonprofit support, and assistance to households serviced by disproportionately impacted communities, and assistance to unemployed workers, ABIPA will be the anchor institution to build the foundation of 17 years of social determinants of health work. This addresses a holistic approach to just and equitable model of COVID-19 recovery by investing and growing organizations and individuals that would not normally have access to the funding due to the lack of funding or capacity to receive or manage funds appropriately. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Asheville City Schools. Do we have our representative from Asheville City Schools here and available? We'll come back. Our next speaker will be Asheville Creative Arts. Asheville Creative Arts, can you unmute yourself and turn on your camera?
Yes, the Blue Note Junction. The Blue Note Junction gets its inspiration by the Blue Note, the once historical landmark built in the 1920s by the community's founder, E.W. Pearson. The Blue Note served as a grocery store, a hairdresser, and also our community's first community center. This project is a continuation of that legacy and the ongoing partner organizations, Asheville Creative Arts, Hood Huggers International, and Peace Gardens and Market. Expanding on our successful efforts to develop a youth training program, build entrepreneurs, and establish a culturally appropriate, health-affirming green spaces, we are building a destination that supports the physical and emotional and economic health of the Black community, while giving visitors an immersive cultural experience. Part culture center, part neighborhood spa, part business incubator, this all-inclusive space will create a model for high-needs communities that have been hardest hit by C-19 in the region. This project aligns with specific goals under the 4 focus areas in the county strategic plan: increase job readiness, preserve farmland, in this case, urban farmland, expanding cultural recreational assets, and increasing total employment with an emphasis on small business and startups. This funding and project would channel resources into communities devastated by the historical legacy of divestment exacerbated by the pandemic and build the capacity for long-term healing that will become self-sustaining. It will keep food dollars within the local economy while supporting the creation of jobs in the area with a priority on BIPOC employees.
Thank you. Your time is up. Our next speaker will go back to Asheville City Schools. Are you available? Asheville City Schools? Okay, our next speaker will be Asheville Housing Authority, the Woodfin Apartments Safety Restoration.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm David Nash, Executive Director of Asheville Housing Authority. A few years ago, we entered into partnership with the county and Homeward Bound to transform Woodfin Apartments in downtown Asheville into a location for the hardest to house members of our community experiencing homelessness. In that setting, Homeward Bound provides case management support on site for 18 households, and the county provides security funding to support that activity. The Housing Authority provides the units and maintains them and maintains the building. During 2020, unrelated to COVID, we had a piece of stonework fall off the building outside and crash on the sidewalk. We quickly put up some scaffolding to protect passerbys on the sidewalk, and we did some investigative work to find that there was a substantial amount of other work that needed to be done to that exterior for safety of the residents, safety of the case managers who work there, and safety of folks generally passing by. This project is a one-time capital investment to preserve this historic structure. There are some costs, additional costs, because it is it is part of a National Register Historic Site, and we're asking for the county to match the funding that we are able to put into it to preserve this critical resource for people experiencing homelessness in Asheville. Thank you for your consideration of this request.
Thank you. Our next speaker is from the Asheville Housing Development Incorporated, Positive Opportunities, Develop Success. Are you available and can unmute yourself and turn on your camera?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. Chosen Positive Opportunities Develop Success is a community-led initiative after-school program for students that was initially implemented during the pandemic to bridge the digital divide and offer academic and emotional support to children primarily living within our Asheville subsidized housing communities. At the request of parents, we currently have an after-school program at the Arthur Eddington Center, where we have currently about 55 students who receive individualized academic and social emotional support when they leave school. They also receive dinner 3 days out of the week, as well as social emotional learning on a daily basis. They experience culturally responsive spaces that acknowledge the racial and economic disparities they face without assessing their growth and success through a deficit mindset. This program ensures our most vulnerable children and those primarily impacted by the ongoing opportunity gaps in Asheville City and Buncombe County schools have access to internet services, academic support, food, and other needs in a culturally responsive space that fosters emotional and physical safety for our children. As our community rebuilds and recreates what our educational system looks like, PODS provides an avenue for children and families to have their needs uniquely met in a culturally responsive way. The best part about this program has been the support and buy-in of the people who live in these communities. It has allowed housing the ability to build authentic relationships and connect with community members that we rarely hear from. We also have the ability in which we've hired several of our residents as well as our teenagers to work in these sites. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is from the Asheville Museum of Science about the recovery plan. Are you able to mute yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Amanda Bryant. I'm the Executive Director of the Asheville Museum of Science. We are a hub for science and STEM education in our county. We serve locals and guests, students and teachers with field trips and outreach, and we lead several after-school programs and camps throughout our region. AMOS is also one of the only family-friendly cultural organizations in our county. We were closed to the public for more than 6 months and have been reopened with limited capacity since. Over the course of the pandemic, we've lost over 70% of our total revenue. It's no surprise that these impacts have drastically affected our growing organizations. Museums like us, which lack fixed seating theaters, are not eligible for COVID relief programs like SBA shuttered venues and other fundings on the state and federal level. However, this has not stopped us from being a leader in science and supporting our community and learning about COVID, vaccines, supporting virtual education programming, and advising on health and safety standards for children. We've also provided a free COVID-19 exhibit in the downtown area. We are specifically requesting recovery funds to address the impacts of lost revenue due to COVID-19 to cover back rent payments while we were closed. Our recovery plan also includes a request to help us increase our physical capacity so we can deliver science education in a safe, social distance way, and to further expand on our STEM education programs that we're already providing in the museum and in our area schools. Science and STEM education is more important than ever. The disasters revealed a significant need for a science literate community. Science helps humans understand critical issues so they can make informed decisions, and we've seen that it saves lives. Thank you for supporting AMOS and science literacy throughout our community by assisting us in addressing the impact of lost revenue due to COVID-19. Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Asheville Buncombe Technical Community College, the Welcome Center.
Hello, I'm John Gossett, president of AB Tech. Our Welcome Center, really a career center, is going to go a long way towards supporting our students of color, our students of economically disadvantaged, as well as first-generation students. You see, we're going to use your money in connection with $10 million of grants that we have written to create pathways to graduation. This supports our strategic plan as well as the county's. Our research is telling us that our students, due to COVID, have added stress. We need to support them. With our Career Center, we will include financial aid counselors, academic advisors, as well as personal advisors as a safety net under which these students will continue to be enrolled, matriculate, as well as graduate. Our goal is more credentials, more degrees to support my future NC. This space that we hope to use in this building will be for interview space for employers, resume and interview skill development, apprenticeships. Basically, we're going to have a one-stop center for jobs for our students. As we work with our other agencies, they can be for the entire community. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Aurora Studio and Gallery, the Aurora Crafts Market and Booths. Are you able to unmute yourself and turn on your camera? Okay, we'll come back. The next speaker then will be Babies Need Bottoms. Are you available to turn on your camera and unmute yourself?
Hi, yes, thank you. Babies Needs Bottoms is the only diaper bank that's serving Western North Carolina. Before the pandemic, 1 in 3 families faced diaper need or the inability to afford enough diapers to keep children clean, dry, and healthy. The pandemic exacerbated local diaper need when many families found themselves without childcare and either experienced temporary wage or job loss or had to leave the workforce entirely to care for their children. While the federal government was quick to fund food and nutrition programs across the nation, there are no public assistance programs that help families meet the essential need of clean diapers and baby wipes. Across the nation, community-based diaper banks like Babies Need Bottoms are working together with local government, volunteers, local funders, and social service agencies who serve families facing economic hardship to provide diaper assistance programs. Diapers are part of the infrastructure that keeps young children healthy and their parents working. As we all know, now more than ever, childcare is essential for working parents. And diapers are essential for children to stay healthy and to be able to attend childcare. Most childcare facilities require at least a day's supply of diapers in advance. And for those programs where diapers are supplied during the day, parents still struggle to afford enough diapers for nights, weekends, school vacations, siblings, and when children are sick or when classrooms have been closed due to the pandemic. And that's where we come in. Babies Need Bottoms works in partnership with social service agencies to scaffold existing resources to support the health and wellness of children and their caregivers. If awarded, these funds would be used to expand our diaper assistance programs in partnership with these early child care education centers in order to promote better health outcomes for children, reduce stress for caregivers, better economic outcomes for their families, and a community that recognizes the importance of making sure parents have the resources that they need for their families to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go back to the Aurora Studio and Gallery. Are you available and able to speak? Aurora Studio and Gallery. Okay, the next speaker will be Back on Track Recovery Center Incorporated. Back on Track, are you able to unmute yourself and turn on your camera?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
All right. First off, I just want to say thank you for the process, to the commissioners for inviting me into such a vital meeting. My name is Ronna Rudisil, founder and CEO of Back on Track Recovery Center Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit peer-ran organization structured to provide support for individuals living and dealing with substance use, mental health, and co-occurring disorders in our local community. Back on Track will use these funds to provide a bridgeway to hope and reconnecting families and create a conducive environment for people to learn and grow. Back on Track Recovery Center was formulated from my 13 years of working and living in the world of substance use and mental health to reflect my experience and professionalism in the field of recovery. Back on Track Recovery Center is a direct replicant of myself, and I'm a direct replica of Back on Track Recovery Center. Back on Track Recovery Center will provide a 30 to 90-day recovery program with minorities at the forefront to curb some of the negative data affiliated with the recovery and minority community. Partnering with Trinity Real Estate Development, LLC, we will develop an affordable housing component for graduates who complete the program in need of affordable housing. Drug overdoses deaths rose close to 30% in the United States in 2020, hitting the highest number ever recorded. More than 93,000 people died from drug overdoses. Recent focus on white population ignores the havoc that opioid epidemic has wreaked on people of color, including Black, Hispanic, and Native American populations. Nationally, between 2013 and 2017, deaths from synthetic opioids other than methadone increased 18-fold. Recovery is complex, and providing recovery services are complex, but are highly recommended in these times. A hopeless population being turned away from recovery treatment only increases their chances of relapse, overdose, and the possibility of death.
Thank you. The next speaker is from the Black Mountain Swannanoa Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm John Brooks, Board Chair for the Black Mountain Swannanoa Chamber of Commerce. We have more than 275 business partners in the eastern part of the county and appreciate this opportunity to explain our unique need that was born out of the pandemic and exponential impact that this grant could have. After the initial shutdown in communities across America, we realized that as people wanted to get away from the concentrated urban areas of infection, we were their away. Folks came for the fresh air and the hiking trails and the biking routes that Black Mountain is a gateway for, and tourism increased in our region of the county to more than 2 million visitors per year. Even the number of individuals that stepped into our tiny visitor center increased by 200%, and it hasn't slowed down. Our unique request comes from realizing that we now need help in rebuilding a consistent workforce and managing all of the unexpected outsiders who have discovered us. As one of the few requests from the eastern part of the county, our project proposal will have a sustained impact on hundreds of businesses and create a nearly turnkey job force training venue in this part of the county within a half block of public transit. We're proposing a modest parking deck to take pressure off congested areas where locals and tourists have no choice but to encroach on private property. And adjacent to this location is an existing building, which is the ideal new location for our visitor center in the central business district. Here we can provide frustration-free parking, a welcoming presence in the heart of Black Mountain, and expanded promotion of our business partners and nonprofits like the Black Mountain Greenway and the Fonta Flora trail systems that we're central to. Additionally, this will serve as a convenient job force training venue as we continue to develop our educational partnerships with a local library and programs like SCORE. Thank you for your consideration. Our local businesses were remarkably good stewards of the government relief that we pointed them to during the pandemic. And now their resilience can be maintained if we can address their current workforce needs and parking needs to meet the unprecedented tourism demand.
Our next speaker is from Asheville City Schools. Asheville City Schools, please unmute yourself and turn on your camera.
Hi, can you guys see me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Clarissa Gilliam, and I'm a ninth grade school counselor here at Asheville High School. And so we want to thank you for considering providing us with this support as we come into this school year. After 2 years, a year and a half of not having in-person instruction, we're recognizing that students are not only in need of academic support, in which we are trying to bridge 2 years of lost in-person instruction. Our students are also in need of emotional support in order for us to help support them through their academics. I'm sorry. We are in a situation where we're dividing ourselves up and having to support students academically and also emotionally. This will allow us to dedicate several services to our students during this time coming off the pandemic.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is from the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation, Kids in Parks. Are you available and able to unmute yourself and turn on your camera?
I'm here. Do you see me? There we go. Looks like I'm there now. Okay, good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Jason Euros, and I'm the director of a program called Kids in Parks. And when I told my boss at the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation that I only had 2 minutes to explain our entire proposal today, she chuckled. So I'm gonna need a little good luck from y'all. Our program and our project is aimed at helping Buncombe County families improve their overall health and wellness and cope with the stresses and uncertainties of a COVID-impacted world. If you think about it, when we were young, we always played outside. And we only came in when the streetlights turned on. But nowadays, you know, kids are indoors. When was the last time that you drove through a neighborhood full of kids playing in their yards? This disconnect from outdoor play in nature is having devastating impacts on the health and education of our kids. Kids in Parks is working to reverse these trends. Since 2009, our award-winning program that started right here in Buncombe County has engaged more than 1 million outdoor adventures in kids and families. The program provides everyone with a shared hub for finding opportunities to be physically active and learn outdoors. Research clearly shows that COVID-19 has had detrimental impacts on children and their education, with lower income students and students of color being more severely impacted. Through this project, Kids in Parks can help reverse this COVID slide. We are seeking $100,000 to develop a series of STEM-based community activities to engage thousands of Buncombe County children every year in outdoor adventures designed to improve their physical, mental, emotional, and cognitive health. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Bountiful Cities, the Urban Agriculture Community Food Hub Development. Are you online and available to unmute yourself?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Good afternoon. My name is Kate Justin. I'm a program director with Bountiful Cities. Our organization has spent over 20 years working to support urban agriculture projects within Asheville and Buncombe County, prioritizing our work with partners in communities of color experiencing higher rates of economic inequity. This work includes education, infrastructure development, materials resourcing, and support for dozens of school and community gardens. For many years, we've envisioned a centralized community food hub which can support the growing number of community gardens in this area, with a facility for processing harvest, a value-added kitchen to enable the sale of products, a community gathering space for hosting educational workshops and events, a cold storage facility, a greenhouse for season extension, and expansion of climate-resistant varieties. In 2018, we acquired a 1-acre tract of land in West Asheville and a $160,000 contribution from a local entrepreneur for the purpose of developing this food hub. While we made significant progress in the initial planning and development of this project, it was delayed by the onset of COVID-19. The funding we're requesting will enable the construction and program development for the community food hub to move forward. It will allow us to update site plans as the building's location was changed for better street access, secure materials and labor for early construction, and complete mitigation activities on the land such as sewer line repair, water management, electrical access, and the development of parking and interior road access. This one-time investment in support of urban agriculture infrastructure within Buncombe County can also help to reduce food insecurity, increase employment opportunities, improve land, water, and air quality, as well as improve the preparedness of neighborhoods and our city as a whole to respond to emergencies in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be from Bounty and Soul, the Benevolence Box Program.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Allie Kasparian, founder and executive director of Bounty and Soul. Bounty and Soul is a community-based organization providing equitable access to nutritious foods and health and wellness education for those facing food and nutrition insecurity. As you know, food insecurity became part of the national spotlight in day-to-day conversations during the pandemic. Right here in WNC, 1 in 4 children and 1 in 6 adults face food insecurity, and that has dramatically increased since COVID. Food insecurity has one of the most extensive impacts on the overall health of individuals, contributing to higher rates of chronic disease. In addition, loneliness has become a national epidemic, with more than 2/3 of Americans experiencing social isolation, which has worsened through COVID. The Benevolence Box program will address both the need for equitable access to nutritious food while also tackling social isolation. This program, which started during the pandemic to meet a gap in service, continues to be a need as the economic and health effects of the pandemic still linger on. This program features the delivery of fresh, healthy, culturally appropriate food boxes with food grown and sourced from local farmers and businesses. Nutrition information, cooking tips, and recipes in English and Spanish are included. In addition, those receiving boxes will be connected with a community caseworker providing weekly personal check-ins. The boxes will serve seniors, people living in rural areas, marginalized communities, single parent, and low-income households. Participants are referred through community partners, NC Care 360, and government agency in a multi-sector effort to address the needs. Currently, we serve 320 individuals in regions across Buncombe County, and we aim to increase that to 1,000 participants by the end of 2022. The funding will provide a refrigerated delivery van as well as facility infrastructure and staffing capacity. With your investment, we can increase food and nutrition insecurity, improve the health and well-being of Buncombe County residents, and reduce the healthcare costs and costs associated with diet-related diseases. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank
Our
you.
next speaker is Brown Temple Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. Are you online and available to turn on your camera and unmute yourself?
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Gary McDaniel, pastor Brown Temple CME Church, Asheville, North Carolina. We're requesting funds to prevent and mitigate COVID-19 in our building. Brown Temple CME Church is seeking funds to reopen the physical building in order to continue to provide a variety of services to low wealth and African American communities. Services including providing COVID-19 information to local communities, residents, partnering with local food banks to provide food to needy communities, outreach programs, as well as a fellowship with our Sunday school, with our Sunday service and midweek service. Funding will allow the leadership team to purchase HVAC filters that reduce airborne aerosols, purchase personal protection property, conduct with health screening, and to contract with a local contractor to create a reopening plan and to provide COVID information to members and community residents to combat vaccination hesitance, especially in the African American population. The church continues to serve the community as a food distribution site in partnership with Buncombe County Engagement Food Market and Management Food Banks, other community services, including assisting with the collection of data for the U.S. Census Project, voter registration drive, and health ministries in partnership with the Asheville Buncombe Institute of Parity Achievement, which is known as the BIPL. The building is also used to host the Delta Sigma Sorority Incorporated Summer Reading Program, the Buncombe County Faith Leadership Engagement Racial and Actual Planning Meeting at the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, and we partner with ABCCM and collect food, clothing, and for their use. The results, the overall results, outcome of the project is to help those along the way. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your service.
Thank you. As an update, we have 24 more speakers on our agenda today. The next speaker will be the Buncombe County Partnership for Children, Recruiting and Retaining Early Childhood Staff in a Workforce Crisis. Are you able to unmute yourself? And
yes, hello, this is Amy Berry. I'm the Executive Director of Buncombe Partnership for Children. Buncombe County had a child care workforce shortage prior to the pandemic, and during the pandemic, it became a full-blown crisis. The loss of 113 early educators triggered classroom closures and a loss of 460 childcare slots, negatively impacting families who rely on childcare to work and employers who rely on a stable workforce. As the pandemic continues, workforce competition is fierce across sectors, and it's beyond challenging for childcare providers, where locally the average pay for a teacher is $13.37 an hour, and fast food businesses are offering $14 to $18 an hour with a 401k. Our project will provide grants directly to early care and education programs focused on teacher recruitment and retention. Providers can may select two strategies from a menu of options, including hiring bonuses, retention bonuses, salary supplements, providing childcare for their employees, and stipends for mentors supporting new teachers. All licensed childcare providers, which are 99 centers and 13 family childcare homes, will be eligible for grants. Payments will be made twice per year. Buncombe Partnership for Children will collect data monitor, and evaluate to identify the most effective strategies. With your support, this 2-year infusion of funds will support early care and education programs and their staff through an unprecedented disruption in the workforce, enabling programs to return to pre-COVID staffing levels and full child care enrollment so that families may return to work. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Buncombe County Schools Foundation, Road to Resilience.
Hi, I'm Shannon Boyd. I'm the McKinney-Vento and Foster Care Coordinator and Director of the Buncombe County Schools Family Resource Center. Imagine this, you're a 12-year-old student living in the family car with mom and dad with no access to food, shower, or laundry, moving around from place to place. Then COVID hit. Now you're even forced to do schoolwork in the car. This is just one case out of the 600 students identified as homeless in Buncombe County. Our Family Resource Center, the Face of Hope, began on March 16th, 2020 due to COVID. We are a one-stop concept for Buncombe County schools, homeless, migrant, and underserved students and families. In the Resource Center, we provide case management services, daily basic needs, supplemental food bags, home goods, and clothing. The new proposed Family Resource Center is a one-time investment for a 6,400 square foot building centrally located on the bus line for easy access. It will provide current services as well as laundry and shower facilities for students and families of Buncombe County schools. We collaborate with many community partners, and this multiplies our impact. This project will create something that does not currently exist in North Carolina. The center will facilitate parent engagement, resource and job fairs, as well as a drop-in center for our 172 homeless youth, where they will receive mentoring, tutoring, and access to workforce development opportunities. The Family Resource Center does not reinvent the wheel. Instead, it creates the hub of the wheel, connecting all the services in one location. With existing established relationships with our students and families, our combined services will allow for a long-term societal impact by improving the family environment and enabling children to learn. This is a proven concept with proven results. Now, fast forward to today. The 12-year-old and his family are in permanent housing and they are thriving. The student is attending school on a regular basis with the help from the Buncombe County Schools Family Resource Center.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Carolina Day School.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you for your consideration. Horizons is a highly impactful out-of-school time enrichment program on the Carolina Day campus that serves public school children who attend Asheville City and Buncombe County schools. The heart of our approach is our annual 6-week summer program that aims to stop the summer slide and put an end to learning loss that accumulates over time and significantly contributes to the shockingly high achievement gap in our area for children of color and children from families of lower socioeconomic means. We also have educational, social, and parent engagement activities throughout the school year. What makes our program special is that children join Horizons the summer after kindergarten and remain part of the program until high school graduation. Horizons takes a culturally responsive, asset-based approach to working with our students, incorporating student agency, parent involvement, and sibling enrollment. We are passionate about equity and racial justice, and we prioritize building a diverse and dedicated core of staff and volunteers and working to break down systemic racism and unconscious bias within educational environments. We're part of a nationwide network of Horizons programs that are operating in independent schools, putting top-notch facilities to work for a public purpose. We have 45 students in our program and plan to use our funding to add 30 new students so that we can help more children access better opportunities and make up for any learning lost during the COVID-19 pandemic. Students in Horizons gain an average of 8 to 12 weeks of reading and math skills during our 6-week summer program. 97% of Horizons students graduate from high school on time, and 91% go on to college or other professional training. And most importantly, our young scholars are falling in love with learning, developing their unique assets, learning safe risk-taking, building confidence, and honing conflict resolution and social emotional skills that will not only benefit them for a lifetime, but will also benefit their families and their public school environments. We cannot wait to see what this growing core of students will contribute to our Asheville community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Christmount Christian Academy, Camp Lakey Gap.
Hey, everybody. My name is Rob Morris. I'm the executive director at Christmount Conference Center here in Black Mountain. We're a year-round camp and conference center. We run Camp Lakey Gap for campers with autism, and we would like to expand this through a proposal called a Camp for All, Friends for All. In a nutshell, here's what we're proposing. Camp for All, Friends for All is a community-wide collaborative camping program focused on serving some of the most marginalized members of our communities, folks with developmental disabilities, autism, chronic or terminal illness, bringing together a myriad of agencies and organizations within our communities who would collectively pool resources, seek local, national, and private funding, working to ultimately make visible those in our communities who have been mostly invisible to the general public. So here's how it works. Let's say that the ARC of Buncombe County wants to deepen its impact on the ones they serve. They approach Christmount and say, hey, we want to do a weekend retreat for ARC members. Christmount says, great, our director of adaptive programming and his team are ready to make it happen. Christmount gets to work drawing up the schedule, recruiting overnight staff, programming staff, and preparing a menu designed specifically for the ARC members. The ARC of Buncombe County gets to work recruiting volunteers to help during the days of the retreat, reaches out to community partners, friends, and foundations to underwrite the cost of the event. The event takes place in a good time, no wait, a great time is had by all. This idea has had proven success in other states, specifically at Camp for All in Houston, Texas, where the results have been tremendous, positively impacting the lives of the campers, as well as increasing the economic health and social connectivity of the greater community. The project is collaborative in nature, inclusive in scope, and long-term in vision. We appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Next speaker is from the city of Asheville, the Low Barrier Shelter. Do we have anyone available from the city of Asheville to speak on the Low Barrier Shelter? Okay, we'll come back. Next speaker is CityWorks USA, Revitalizing Black Wall Street, Asheville.
Oh, good evening. Can you see me? How y'all doing? My name is Bruce Waller. I am director of Black Wall Street. Our motto is to honor history and expand businesses and ownership. Our mission is to grow, start, and expand 40 Black businesses yearly and help them create at least one living wage job. Our project is led by entrepreneurs working alongside 45 Black businesses in Buncombe County. This collective project seeks to close economic gaps between revenue generated by white and Black businesses and owners. Areas most impacted by COVID includes those who are underserved and marginalized. This population includes those who had low income, lived in close proximity, and did not have easy access to medical information and services. Our total project has 3 areas: the Black Wall Street Marketplace in Southside neighborhood, growing Black-owned businesses, and creating an information technology that directs residents and tourists to local Black-owned businesses. We are seeking funds to hire a director or continue to work and to create a small microloans and grants for Black people starting and growing their businesses in Buncombe County. The one-time funds that we're requesting will prepare the Black Wall Street into a similar way that the initial seed funding that we did have to help explain Black Wall Street, which is specifically Black Wall Street Junior, providing seed funding for young people to test out their ideas as well. In December 2020, NCID provided $50,000 in funding. With the program year to date, the momentum has grown and attracted other funders and opportunities. During the festival, Grindfest, Black businesses collectively raised $74,000 in revenue. That also included that we have grown from 40 Black businesses. When we put this in there, we have grown to 60 Black businesses in Buncombe County, and we're still growing and expanding, and it's becoming sustainable on its own. And I really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Coach Tate National Educational Athletic Association Corporation.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it says it can't start my video because the host has stopped it. Okay. We give honor to God and thank Him for this opportunity to be here today, especially in times such as these, COVID-19. Many thanks to each of our Buncombe County Commissioners for your leadership in times such as these. As founder and chair of the board of the Coach Tate Foundation, together with our leadership team, we are excited and honored to be a part of this process today. We bring to Buncombe County citizens a strategic plan that includes, but not limited to, the following. Number one, a long-term sustainable community and economic infrastructure development plan for the safety, the security, and the protection of our people, our places, and our things. Number two, we bring income-producing work and business contracts. Number three, a new, safe, affordable, and eco-friendly housing to include restoration of historical property. Number four, a 24/7, 365 strategic education and entrepreneurship learn to earn curricula in collaboration with local organizations. Number five, a shared vision, mission, and provision with measurable outcomes that demonstrate that the beneficiaries are tangibly benefiting as purpose. Number six, when we receive, we give back to the community through our Pay It Forward Local Citizens Profit Sharing Fund, where every citizen in Buncombe County will receive a share in the Coach Tate Foundation profits for the community's legacy sustainability. Our team has identified the land and we've submitted our plan. The Coach Tate Foundation is prepared and ready and to positively impact the lives of our people in Buncombe County.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Colaborativa La Milpa from Poderama Cooperative Housing Network. Do we have someone from the Colaborativa online? We will come back. Do we have City of Asheville online to talk about the low barrier shelter? Okay, we'll come back. The next speaker will be Community Action. Oh, do we have someone here?
I jumped the gun. It's Brian Repass from Community Action Opportunities.
That's great. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Brian Repass, and I'm the Head Start Director for Community Action Opportunities. I want to begin by thanking each of you for your bold leadership in supporting and expanding high-quality early childhood education opportunities for Buncombe County children and families. I'm pleased to be here today to talk about our proposal, Addressing Child Trauma and Supporting Behavioral Health in Head Start Classrooms. We know the COVID-19 pandemic is disproportionately affecting people of color and families that live on low incomes. Because of COVID-19, Head Start parents are under more stress than ever due to sickness, job loss, isolation, and other byproducts of the pandemic. When parents and environments are stressed, we know children are negatively impacted, and traumatic stress interferes with children's abilities to concentrate, learn, and perform in school. Children with childhood trauma need a specialized environment and strong mental health services to support their development and increase their sense of safety, which together increases resiliency and supports social emotional learning and positive behaviors. Our proposal creates a trauma-informed model classroom serving 10 children a year at the Hillcrest Head Start Center, supported by Head Start and Buncombe County COVID funds that will allow us to diminish childhood trauma by providing a deeply trauma-informed learning environment paired with extensive mental health services for children, parents, and families. Creating a model classroom for children with childhood trauma is an opportunity to improve kindergarten readiness and success in school, as well as starting to mitigate the lifelong impacts of childhood trauma as identified in the Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACEs research. Model classroom teachers and mental health staff will coach other classrooms, leading to improved classroom environments and child outcomes for over 500 children per year. Thank you for your consideration of our request to address childhood trauma and support behavioral health in Head Start classrooms.
Thank you.
The next speaker is from Eagle Market Street Development Corporation for the Community Equity Fund.
Good afternoon. Are you able to see and hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Great. This is Stephanie Swepson Twitty, President and CEO with Eagle Market Streets Development Corporation. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for allowing us an opportunity to present the Community Equity Fund. For more than 27 years, Eagle Market Streets has provided small business development and non-traditional capital to historically Black, Indigenous, people of color, and women-owned businesses. These owners have consistently been undervalued and marginalized. The businesses often lack first-in friends and family dollars. Eagle Market Street seeks to address this by allowing them equity capital versus debt to scale their businesses by job creation or acquisition of greater market share. The fund launched in July of this year, and to date, we have raised $330,000 of private contributions. We have placed 200,000 of those contributions on the street with 3 promising businesses and hired an experienced fund manager. The funds were dispersed within 7 days of our receiving them. They created 13 jobs with the potential to create 15 more. Finally, with your support, we feel we can address the county strategic initiative to support small local business, particularly targeting BIPOC and women-owned businesses, and ultimately to improve the potential for generational wealth for these populations. We thank you for your time, your past support, and for your consideration of the community equity proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from East End Valley Street Neighborhood Association, the Dental Assistance Program.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I can't, I don't see a picture, but anyway, good afternoon to all of the Buncombe County Commissioners and everyone in attendance. I'm David Jones III, a registered dental hygienist, retired, and a member of the East End Valley Street Neighborhood Association. And what we're trying to do is start a dental program. The Center for Disease Control, Oral Health, and COVID-19 study notes that the populations, including elderly, lower income African Americans, are at higher risk for chronic disease and are more likely to have oral care issues. The East End Valley Street Neighborhood Association recognizes that dental needs of the African American communities, lower income and elderly residents within our community is undocumented in community plans. However, the East End Valley Street Neighborhood Association are undocumented in community plans. However, there are real needs expressed by the residents themselves. The program will provide an essential healthcare related service that is often neglected by African American seniors for dental care. The grant will primarily focus on low-income African Americans residents within the neighborhood. Many rely on Medicaid or Medicare to pay for medical expenses. Medicare normally does not cover dental care unless hospitalized. In North Carolina, state's Medicaid coverage provides some level of support. What this program would provide would be dental services needed to keep the bodies in good health. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Do we have Collaborativa La Milpa on? Go back and check. Are you in attendance and can unmute yourself and turn on your camera? Okay, our next speaker will be Evelyn Charities, the Housing Stability and Utility Assistance Program.
Hello, and thank you very much. Historically, Evelyn has administered tenant-based rental assistance through Buncombe County's Affordable Housing Services Program. Our most recent award was $156,000 and exhausted in just over 6 months. There are many households here that are simply falling through the cracks with regards to receiving assistance and maintaining an existing home, as local wages don't keep up with the area cost of living. Pre-pandemic figures show that 30% of Buncombe County's households are cost burdened, and the majority of those are renters. 85% of the calls to Buncombe County's 211 in the past year have been housing or shelter related. Many of the ERA requests received at Health and Human Services are being denied because no direct tie to COVID for many of our most vulnerable can be determined. They're living on a fixed income or paycheck to paycheck, or simply confused moratorium with the word forgiveness. We all know and are seeing the economic impacts of the pandemic through rising prices and inflation. Since July 1, we administered almost $142,000 for housing assistance for families with children. There is no such program for households without children. The approval of our request would support equitable outcomes throughout the community, allow us to leverage energy programs, and efficiently resolve crisis with one interview rather than sending people running all over town. Requests will be screened to determine if clients would be eligible to receive ERA assistance and referred appropriately to avoid duplication of services. Thank you. We appreciate your consideration and your support.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Eckerd Youth Alternatives.
Good afternoon. I am Amy Hobson, the Director of Caring for Children, and I use she, her, and hers pronouns. First, want to thank the Chair and the Commissioners for this opportunity to request funding for our Angels Watch program administered through Caring for Children. Also, really a big heartfelt shout out to the incredible programs in our county. You all are amazing and inspiring, and just want to thank you for continuing to do the work, especially now. So with COVID, as we all know, we've seen a real marked increase in mental health and substance use disorders, especially in marginalized families, and therefore an increase in intakes into child protective services with DSS, when families, they're just really struggling to maintain a baseline at home. Our Angels Watch program is specifically designed to prevent youth from entering into the custody of child protective services. Angels Watch fills gaps in care. This breaks down to mean we provide a safe place for when children have nowhere to go during a time their parents are temporarily unable to care for them because of a mental health crisis, incarceration, or they are entering the hospital or entering rehab for substance use disorder recovery. Children 0 to 6 years of age, they're placed into Angels Watch temporarily licensed home for up to 90 days. This provides their family some time to attempt to resolve issues that keeps them from safely caring for their kiddos. DSS, law enforcement, the court systems, mental health providers, and substance abuse recovery providers, they can refer families to this program when they don't currently meet the criteria for removal. But without these additional support, they would most likely enter into the child welfare system at some point. With your support, this program will focus on disrupting the pipeline of foster care to incarceration or homelessness. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Elida Holmes, Students Training for Advancement.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Dickerson. I am the director of the ESTA program here at Elida Holmes. We are a holistic case management service for youth age 16 to 25. We work with youth who have been put at risk through their involvement in multiple systems of care, whether that is the foster care system, the juvenile justice system, or the adolescent mental health system. These youth are likely to become chronically homeless or involved in the adult justice system. A recent study in Minnesota found that although 2% of the general population had previously been involved in foster care, the chronically homeless population there had 36% of them had involvement in foster care when younger. People aging out of the foster care system become homeless within 1 year at a rate of 1 in 5. With our program, we're able to provide case management to help them overcome these barriers and achieve their self-determined goals. In the last year, with the barriers of COVID, and without having started our tenant-based rental assistance program, 88% of our students were able to achieve housing, 70% were able to reach their education goals, and 76% were able to reach their employment goals. This program is not only here to help these students to overcome the challenges that they face, but also to lighten the load on our community. This early intervention program has a cost of only $5,000 per year per client, where if they become chronically homeless, the federal government will have to spend an average of $35,000 per client per year. This funding is going to be used in a way to help us to make some capital investment and have some flexible spending dollars for salary, where we will be able to increase our capacity and have more flexibility so that we can address each student's self-determined goals without having to turn anyone away for not fitting into our pre-existing mold. Thank you for your time and thank you for consideration of our proposal.
Thank you so much.
We have 10 more speakers on our list for today. The next speaker will be Empowerment Resource Center, WRES LP Operations and Studio Refurbishment Project.
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Bellamy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Buncombe County Commissioners. My name is Terry Bellamy, and I am a board member of the WRES Empowerment Resource Center. The WRES Empowerment Resource Center is requesting funds to purchase equipment needed to upgrade our ability to reach and expand our listening base, including mobile broadcast equipment and studio updates necessary for enhanced internet broadcast support and supporting the hiring of an executive director and their salary for 3 years. The WRES LP Radio Studio Refurbishment Project is an initiative that our organization is pursuing due to the current age of our current equipment. WRES Empowerment Resource has operated since 2001 with the same equipment that was originally purchased since the founding of our organization. WRES serves as a catalyst for creative innovation by offering programming that reflects the needs of the community while also promoting empowerment in communities of color and wealth. During the past 20 years, WRES has actively worked to bridge the information gap that exists between programs, organizations, governmental agencies, and the community. In the past few months, WRES has hosted live radio shows where important governmental officials were offering vital information about COVID-19 to our community, produced and aired shows about resources that are available to small business owners, and broadcasted information about educational changes and resources available to families. Additionally, WRES has provided free program time to nonprofit organizations who submit public service announcements, including programs that encourage parents to talk to their children about the harms of alcohol, information that remind parents to register their children for preschool, and information on fair housing. This vital information was offered and accessible to residents who do not have cable or limited access to the internet. However, they have a radio and can listen to WRES at home, in their cars, or at work. WRES efforts played an important role in helping to inform and empower the community with information while removing access barriers for families. Please consider our request for funding. Thank you so very much for your leadership and your support.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is First. Support to
Hey there.
underresourced families. Okay, great. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm Janet Price Barrell, Executive Director of First. We've been working and supporting with persons with disabilities and their families since 2003. Our proposal is a multifaceted plan to support a variety of needs of the families with children with disabilities and special health care needs that they have faced during COVID and they continue to face. Our plan over the next 2 years is to provide support, training, and education to build capacity for families that will last well past the 2 years. Each component is addressing the social emotional needs for the children, their parents, and the child care staff that support these families. The first staff is especially qualified utilizing research-based programming and assessment to support each child and parent where they are. To support families with the multiple systems that they have to engage to receive services for their child, first we'll hire a parent as a full-time community navigator. To provide parenting skill groups, first we'll continue to offer Incredible Years, a research-based program to parents of children with challenging behaviors. We will also continue our Circle of Parent groups, which is an ongoing parent leadership program, and Circle of Security, a trauma-informed practice. To support child care centers and the staff with social emotional systems, first we'll expand support by adding 1.5 staff to build capacity, partnering with the child care centers around the increased social emotional needs of all children. To improve access to mental health services for young children and families, we will expand our internship program for mental health counseling graduates so that over the 2 years, 4 additional interns will increase their experience working with families and young children and persons with disabilities so they can continue that in their work going forward. This is not a time to limit access to support services, including parenting programs, community navigators, and mental health services. Our plan will support families with young children with behavior challenges, trauma, learning disabilities, autism, and many others that have fallen through the cracks that have been widened by COVID-19. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Gateway Group of Asheville.
Okay.
Gateway Group of Asheville, are you available? Okay, we'll come back. There we go. All right, you have 2 minutes.
My apologies. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Ronald Gates. I'm the director and CEO of Gateway Group of Asheville Fatherhood and Motherhood Program. There may be the question that may ask, what is the tangible benefits of having a father and a motherhood program? Well, it begins to bring forth emotional, financial, and mental stability and strength into the family home and its structure, from emotional, social, physical, creative, intellectual, and spiritual needs, a holistic approach of touching the whole family. The benefit speaks of being involved and being present in the lives of their children, understanding the significance of it. You may ask the question, what is the significant difference? Well, with Gateway Group of Asheville and the Buncombe County program, it is an evidence-based program. It is evidence-based, national evidence-based, which has a 87% successful rate of fathers and mothers being reestablished back into the homes of their family, with 67% of the fathers, having sole custody. It enhances the reality and the importance of being a father and a mother with responsibility and accountability. And then the last question, you may ask, what is the proof of your claim? Well, we understand that 63% of the youth, whether with the missing parents or definitely missing father, is likely to commit suicide. 90% of them are homeless or runaway children. 85% of the children are in institutions or in prisons, or 85% are involved in gangs. But what is the benefit of having the father and the mother in the home? It's a nurturing structure. Amen. It begins to bring financial stability, a healthy home for nurturing. And it also gives a sound mental soundness and strong academic success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Glacken, the Hatch Asheville Foundation, the Hatch Innovation Hub.
Hi there. I'm George Glacken, the chair of the board of the Hatch AVL Foundation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit that supports entrepreneurs seeking to build high-growth businesses in the region. So as the county seeks to recover from the pandemic, we feel we need to double down on creating and scaling high-growth businesses. And we feel that's because high-growth businesses are a proven source of new job creation and building generational wealth, both especially relevant to business owners of color. Many entrepreneurs have the potential to build a high-growth business, but lack access to capital, mentorship, networking, and affordable space. Worse still, entrepreneurs tell us that the region's support ecosystem is too siloed and hard to navigate. So over the past 4 years, existing Hatch partners have already supported companies in building combined revenue of over $105 million a year and creating 406 jobs with an average salary at 1.5 times the county average. We feel that now is the time to scale Hatch's impact by creating the Hatch Innovation Hub. So through the Hub project, we plan to bring under one roof more founders and support organizations by tripling the footprint of the Hub's headquarters in downtown Asheville. We plan to share and coordinate programming, education, mentors between the support organizations. And finally, we plan to create a capital marketplace to provide coordinated access to funds. We've already struck partnership deals with Venture Asheville and Mountain BizWorks and are seeking further partnerships with groups such as Eagle Market Streets, UNCA, and others. We're seeking funding from a broad coalition of ARPA, Dogwood, private donors, and sponsors. So we ask you to please help us save businesses that should be saved and grow businesses that should be grown. Thanks.
Our next speaker is from Greater Works Church.
Hello, I'm Shelly Gates. I am the director of the Greater Works Church Youth Economic and Entrepreneurial Success Program. Shortened name version is YES, Y-E-E-S. The YES program is built on the premise that all Americans benefit from the economic and or financial well-being of all people. The pandemic highlighted in many cases had a negative economic impact on the financial conditions of many individuals and families. In a poll conducted late in 2020, 59% of the respondents stated they experienced a financial setback during that year. In the same poll, 74% hope to improve their financial literacy, and 63% regret not taking their finances more seriously sooner. Although the results were from American adults, this provides insight and opportunity on how we can position our youth for greater financial success, stability, and security, and provide a jump start on their future well-being. The YES program goal is to equip, engage, and empower our youth to learn and apply financial concepts and be able to make wise financial decisions now and in the future. The program will be implemented using curriculum and specialty tracks developed by recognized leaders in youth entrepreneurship, education, and financial literacy. Unfortunately, today's youth and future generations may have to shoulder some of the long-term economic impacts of the pandemic and the recovery efforts. This may increase and worsen the financial inequities, disparities, and inequalities of families and youth who are already at risk or living below the poverty level. Working together with trainers, facilitators, coaches, mentors, parents, and local business owners and industry leaders, the funds provided will be used to provide financial education that would give our youth a head start on developing healthy financial habits and to build financial stability now and in the future for their family and community, and thereby minimize financial vulnerabilities and that can lead to financial disaster. Thank you for the opportunity to present the YES program.
Our next speaker is from the Greenbelt Alliance.
Hello, can you see me?
Not quite yet.
All right, well, you can hear my voice though, right?
Correct. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, great. Hello, Buncombe County Commissioners. I'm grateful to be virtually with you today. My name is Sam Riork, and I'm the Executive Director of Greenbelt Alliance. You're a local nonprofit leading the way towards the clean energy future. In the past 4 years, we have provided free energy efficiency upgrades for over 600 households in Buncombe County through our Energy Savers Network program. The support of Buncombe County, the City of Asheville, and Duke Energy for this program has been so important for the families we serve. Our funding request to you is to support low-income families by providing free heating system repair and replacements and solar electric system installations. While performing energy efficiency upgrades, we often encounter households whose heating systems are broken and need to be repaired or replaced. We will use these funds to improve the durability and life of homes while lowering energy bills, improving indoor air quality, and making homes more energy efficient. Funding for the solar electric systems will enable us to continue the very successful neighbor-to-neighbor program that has already installed solar systems on 13 Buncombe County homes, allowing us to spread solar panels into communities that typically can't afford it. This work serves low-income families throughout Buncombe County, representing all races and housing types. And we are partnering with other local nonprofits to identify and serve clients, with heating and air companies to do the installation, and with local solar and contractors to put in the photovoltaic systems. We project a total savings of $1.4 million in utility cost alone, in addition to all the health and indoor air quality improvements, turning $500,000 of funding into $1.4 million in savings and thousands of tons of greenhouse gases reduced. We greatly appreciate you considering this request to support low-income families, improve their homes, and reduce climate emissions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from the Haywood Street Community Development, increased stock of deeply affordable housing.
Good afternoon, commissioners and sister nonprofits. My name is Brian Combs, and I'm the founding pastor at Haywood Street. I wanted to start by clarifying what our proposal for deeply affordable housing is not. We are not the Homeward Bound Days Inn project for permanent supportive housing, nor the Ramada Inn Low Barrier Shelter, nor the A-Hope Homeless Day Center. These are all critical proposals and programs, but very distinctive from our offering. Instead, we're proposing a multifamily development. We're under contract at 339 West Haywood Street. It's a non-urban renewal site, a few blocks away from the sanctuary, with a total of 45 apartments, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. 23 of the units, or over half, are reserved for individual housing choice vouchers, or 30% AMI, the biggest need according to the Bowen report. 9 units are at 60% AMI, 13 units at 80% AMI, 100% of the apartments are affordable, and all will be in perpetuity. We have a core belief that interrupting the isolation of poverty requires more than simply a permanent address, but also intentional relationship. Therefore, the building includes 3,000 square feet of community space. We've already begun our neighborhood engagement process. We recently presented at the We Can Neighborhood Association meeting. We're holding our first public meeting on Sunday at 3, and we've been surprisingly encouraged by the enthusiastic support we've received by so many. We're very early in the design process. Although budgeting is inexact without full construction drawings, we anticipate a total project cost of between $8 and $10 million. The city has signaled an intention to commit $2.5 million and the Dogwood Health Trust $2 million. We believe this is a viable development, and assuming the process continues as it already has been, we could be moving dirt as early as March of 2022. We're grateful for your consideration.
Our next speaker is from the Haywood Street Congregation, capital improvements to support COVID prevention and mitigation.
Good day. I'm Lorelei Toth, the Director of Development for Hayward Street Congregation. Weekly, Hayward Street serves nearly 600 meals each Wednesday and Sunday. Yet the downtown welcome table provides so much more than that. Not just healthy food, but also a connection to health and human services agencies, and the restaurant-style service affirms each person's worth and dignity. COVID required us moving to takeout boxes served from our parking lot, which we are still doing now. Our goal for this project is to build an outdoor 20x20 deck offering seating for table service. With outdoor heaters, the deck will be operational for all but the coldest days in Asheville, along with the water bottle filling station fountain and 6 steel framed picnic tables in the nearby garden. This outdoor area addresses more than COVID needs. It will also provide a more comfortable experience for individuals with mental illness, such as PTSD, where being inside or in crowds can be a triggering event. To enable social distancing for those eating inside, the dining room will be revamped and expanded into a second room. New, smaller tables, but more of them, will be spread throughout these 2 rooms. These tangible improvements provide work and sales for local businesses, as well as long-term benefits for the unhoused and poor individuals, not only during community health crises, but throughout the year, including flu and cold season. We appreciate your time and your consideration of this important improvements to Hayward Street Congregation's building and the community in which we serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next comment is from Helpmate, Emergency Shelter for Domestic Violence Survivors.
Good afternoon.
I'm April Burgess Johnson, the Executive Director for Helpmate. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about our proposed shelter expansion for people who are homeless due to domestic violence. The needs of domestic violence survivors increased substantially during the COVID pandemic as adult and child victims were trapped in homes with batterers and then subjected to increased family stress from health, financial, and housing crises. Domestic violence can be deadly, and 91% of the people served in our shelter are at high risk of homicide. A lack of available domestic violence shelter beds contributes to high numbers of domestic violence homicides. In North Carolina, over a 10-year span, the top 3 counties for domestic violence death per capita were Buncombe, Durham, and Guilford. The top 3 counties for the number of turnaways from a domestic violence shelter due to lack of space were Buncombe, Durham, and Guilford. Domestic violence has a multi-generational impact. Without intervention, children who grow up in violent homes are 4 times as likely to experience or perpetrate violence as adults. Access to domestic violence shelter is also an equity issue. Women of color are twice as likely to be killed by their abusive partners, and people of color comprise 39% of Helpmate's shelter population. Our shelter expansion will address many of these concerns. We'll more than double the community's capacity to shelter victims, moving from our current 20 beds to 43, which will meet the needs of our county's growing population for at least the next 20 years, and will help us shelter 10,000 survivors during that time. Our new shelter will feature a pandemic responsive design with pod-style living. We've already purchased the land and done the initial geotechnical work to ensure that the site is buildable. Thank you in advance for helping us save lives and grow a healthier, safer community. Take care.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Hominy Baptist Church.
Good afternoon. This is Andy Gibson speaking from Hominy Baptist Church and Hominy Child Care. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Very happy for this opportunity. We never closed during the pandemic. We actually expanded our services by about 60 children. What we are asking for now is help going forward with retaining our staff, our key quality staff, looking at a refurbished bus for our kids where we expanded services, assistance with a classroom and a playground, which is critically important, and 6 months of staffing for that new classroom, as well as equipment and also revenue loss from that time period. We've been proud to serve the families in Western Buncombe County, and we would just appreciate any help we could get.
Thank you so much.
That concludes everyone on our schedule. There were 3 that we said we would come back to, one being the City of Asheville, one being Aurora Studio and Gallery, and the third being Collaborativa La Milpa. Do we have anyone online from those 3 organizations?
Okay, if not, maybe we can reach out to them and try to, we're going to do more of this, so maybe we can circle back with those folks. All right, we appreciate everyone who took time to speak to the commission today. We realize the time was short, but it's very helpful, and everyone did an exceptional job summarizing their projects in a really brief period of time. So thank you so much. And we are going to take a 5-minute break before we begin our regular meeting.